Okay guys, I have a confession to make. I'm an addict to this. Yeah, this baby right here. I mean, I have a screen time, or I had a screen... Oh my gosh, my dog is playing with his toy, squeaky toy. I seriously had a screen time that were 7 hours per day. I mean, what? I'm not kidding you. 7 hours, that's like a whole workday. A workday of just mindlessly scrolling through my phone. It's ridiculous. Alright, I have honestly felt for quite a long time now that I need to do something about my screen time, because I realized that I'm not in control of my screen time and what I do with my phone. And even though I have known that I need to do something about it, I have not really had the self-discipline to actually do something about it. Or rather, I'm not even conscious about picking up this phone to just mindlessly scroll. So I have not been able to really stop myself from scrolling like social media, especially Instagram. That's my biggest issue. Instagram and of course YouTube. But I don't really see YouTube as a social media because I find a lot of good information there. But Instagram is just like a waste of time, in my opinion. And the worst part is that I'm not even conscious about me picking up the phone to look at it. That's the scary part, you know? So, I made myself this challenge in June that I would go a total detox from social media, to not use social media once in 30 days. And in practice, it actually became 1.5 months because I went away for military training for 2 weeks, which also helped, of course. But the whole of June was strictly no social media whatsoever. And you know what? It was so freaking hard! Like, I was so bored out of my mind, especially those 2 first weeks. It was horrible. It was truly, truly horrible. And I also knew that I wouldn't be able to do this challenge without taking quite extreme measures to actually make it. Because my dog is growling on his toy right now. Jesus, oh my gosh, sorry about that if you could hear it. But I really needed to do some extreme measures for this, or take some extreme measures, because I did not trust myself since I picked up the phone without even being conscious about it. So, I basically used the software Cold Turkey on my computer, and I used the app Flipped on my phone. And for you who don't know what Cold Turkey is, or the software, well, let's just say you don't mess around with that software, that's for sure. So I basically set up this software called Turkey for 30 days to really block all these web pages. And once it's blocked, it really is blocked. The software basically overrides your whole computer, so it doesn't really matter if you try to uninstall the software, because you can't. So once the software is active, it overrides everything, so you can't really do anything. So if you try to restart your computer, it will just reboot the software once the computer is up and running again. You can't install it, and you can't get into those web pages for as long as the block is active. For me, because I'm a sucker and I'm an addict, I needed something similar to my phone, because otherwise I tend to try to find loopholes to get access to the social media. That's how bad it was. And the built-in system for screen time, where you can actually like put some time limits on some apps, that's just ridiculous. I override them right away. It's in no use for me at all. And it basically does the same thing as Cold Turkey does to the computer. And it's actually thanks to this app that I noticed that I was picking up. Well, hello, dog, come here. Hi! Oh, I got the pig! I got the piglet! Look at this. This is what it plays with. Do you want it? Here you go. So, go away. Well, it's actually thanks to this app that I noticed that I pick up my phone unintentionally without consciousness, basically. Because once I try to go into the app, the social media app, for example, Instagram in this case, I get this like motivational quote instead. So, and that's really when I realized, like, oh, did I just pick up my phone? Did I really try to go into this app when I know that it's blocked? I know that it's blocked, but still I do it unconsciously. So I became so bored, but not bored enough to actually do something productive with my time. It was horrible. I was miserable. I was so annoyed that I had this itch in my fingers. I just wanted to do some scrolling and I couldn't. Talk about detox, huh? So the first 2 weeks were horrible. I mostly slept away my days. Of course, not when I worked, but on my spare time, I slept a lot. A lot. And I felt edgy. But around day 15 and forward, something shifted. I started to exercise more, with home training twice a week and running 3 times a week approximately. I started to read more as well. A lot of books. I have read a lot of books. Maybe that's a new addiction. I don't know. I need to think about that carefully because I read a lot of books. I started to do more hobbies again, and I actually started to feel quite free from being glued to my phone all the time. I felt this FOMO. It started to disappear, and it was such a lovely feeling because all of a sudden I was in control of my time and my actions. I also became more social again. I started to socialize a bit more. I was more outgoing, I was more creative, I was more into doing new things, try out new things. And I was willing to do more activities instead of just sitting with my phone. And the most important part, I started to think, what the hell did I do so much on social media, especially Instagram? It doesn't give me anything. It's the same old and nothing new, and it's just a quick rush of dopamine, and it's ridiculous. And it's so superficial as well. So once my detox was over, I didn't really feel the need to go back to social media. Yes, of course, I do have my social media accounts still on Instagram and Facebook, etc. But honestly, I don't really feel the need to check them out. I have not posted anything since the end of May, when my detox actually started, and I have barely checked it. I have logged in to Instagram and Facebook from time to time, mainly just to see if someone has DM'd me on Instagram, for example, or if something has happened in the events channel on Facebook. But that's maximum of 10 minutes per day. I don't sit anymore. And really, I feel actually better than I have been for a long while. I feel like something has lifted from my chest because I felt trapped. I felt miserable and I felt so annoyed that I knew that I could spend so much more productive time to things that I actually love and that are meaningful to me instead of just wasting them on my phone. But I couldn't really get out of that habit. And at the end of the day, I was so annoyed with myself that I didn't do something more productive or something of more value to me, especially. And when I actually decided to do this, I was terrified. But it was the best decision I ever made. I actually feel like, what were I thinking? And during this time, I have actually managed to reduce my screen time from 7 hours a day to 1 hour a day. And I feel like that's a huge accomplishment. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very happy with the result because that gives me 6 hours after work that I can do so much more. I can actually focus so much more on my hobbies, for example, or something that really gives me meaning instead of just sitting with this and just mindlessly scrolling day in and day out. And that itself is a wonderful feeling. And now I have finally gotten control of my time again. And I mean, time is something that you will never get back. I value time so much more now, and I am not prepared to lose that time again on something as shitty as scrolling social media, because time is, I can't even describe it in words. I feel so much more freer. I feel so much more productive. I feel so much happier now that I actually control my own time again. I have already lost so much time on shit as Instagram, and it annoys me to hell that I know that I will not be able to get that time back, and that I was so weak mentally that I couldn't get out of that rut without using these extreme measures of blocking myself. And it has annoyed me beyond reason that I have put so much time on meaningless scrolling instead of things that I actually love. So enough is enough. It's time for me to actually take back control over my phone and not the phone having control over me.